Poll question today is, should a team with a sub-500 record winning a division host a playoff game? Chris Brockman, can you update us on the poll question results early on, just one segment in?
Well, it seems like, Rich, people are on your side. 63% says no.
Says no, they should not.
No, they should not.
844-204-RICH. I want to hear from you. Jay Glazer, representing not only Fox Sports, but Fox Sports Radio, joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show once again. Where do you stand on this, Jay? Do you think that there would be any inclination on part of the membership in the NFL to entertain an idea, certainly after we see what the NFC South is going to send to a home playoff game, to change the rules moving forward?
You know what? I don't know. Obviously, it's hard if you have a 12-4 team. They don't make the playoffs. You're going, whoa. You know, playoffs are supposed to determine the best team in the National Football League. And, you know, but it's kind of weird if you don't have a divisional winner. It makes those divisional, it makes the divisional races and those intra-divisional games a little bit moot, right? So,
well, I wouldn't,
you know what? I don't know where I really stand on it.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't say, Jay, that the winner of the NFC South doesn't make the playoffs. They would. They just wouldn't be able to host a winner of a division.
Okay, yes. That I have no problem. That I agree. Yeah, if you're 12-4 and you're traveling a team that's 5-11, that's wrong.
And I think the NFL might have to address this moving forward. In the meantime, Jay, what is up with the 4-7 Saints? Sean Payton must be pulling his hair out of his head with a division that's there for the taking, and they just can't seem to get any traction. What can you tell me about why the Saints don't look like the Saints of recent years?
You know, I think a couple things. One, look, I think they almost kind of look at Sean and Drew like you look at Bill and Tom. And it's like, hey, no matter what we do, we can let people go. They'll still overcome. And for a little bit there, until that last play in the 49ers game, they certainly looked every bit like that. But you you get rid of Darren Sproles. You get rid of all the defensive leaders you have on Rob Ryan's side of the ball. There's a lot more to overcome there, I think, than people realize. And that running back position was banged up a ton this year. You know, obviously Mark Ingram, when he was playing well, and he's been hurt the last few weeks. When he was playing well, they started to kind of come back to life a little bit. Jimmy was banged up. I think that the combination of the injuries and losing some of the guys they've lost, kind of put them back. And going into the season, I think we looked and said, Sean Payton, he came back last year. Look what they did. And everybody just expected them to build. But instead, they lost all these guys. Again, they lost their defensive leaders. And I get it that a lot of the guys didn't have the same wheels that they have, the Will Smiths of the world, but they don't have anybody on the defensive side of the ball. You go, okay, this guy is our vocal leader. And they're kind of finding their identity over there. And then offensively, when you take away one of your two safety valves for your quarterback, that obviously you have to try and figure out a way to overcome that.
Jay Glazer of Fox Sports and Fox Sports Radio joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. So, Rex, we all know. I mean, at this point in time, this is a foregone conclusion. Does it go out the door based on what you think, Jay, as well?
I think as it gets more and more emotional. I mean, we know what happens in New York, man, right?
Yep.
As they get more and more and more emotional, I think it'll be hard for Woody Johnson to resist the temptation. The one thing, and I told you this last week, though, the one thing I hate, though, is like predicting the hot seat stuff, 5, 6, 7 weeks out, because it doesn't really come to fruition until 2 weeks left. Things happen that, Tom Coughlin, he was fired, 5 times already. Andy Reid was fired 7 times in Philadelphia. Ron Rivera was fired last year, right? It just doesn't. You got to see what happens as everything plays out toward the end of the season, but. And the reason why is because of emotions. Last year, Rex was supposedly fired, and 2 weeks left, he became a sympathetic figure, and he saved himself. And that's, you really got, I know people want answers now, but you got to really wait for the last, week 16 and 17 to see how things unfold. But as this gets, if it continues to go how it is, and they get louder and louder and louder, I don't see how Woody Johnson resist that temptation. But the other part of this too is, Rich, that people don't really understand.
What?
Is general managers, all right? What we don't see is how much they're sitting up there in games and offices with the owner. The coach doesn't get to sit up with the owner. The GM does. And they can sit there and say, man, he's just not using the personnel right that we have. Or we got the right personnel. Hey, these moves that we've made. And you constantly can sell yourself to the owner. And people don't realize that. People don't know how much they're able to sell themselves, how much time is spent doing that. Some GMs do it all the time. Some GMs don't do it at all. And that's actually an equation that again, fans and people don't have any idea that goes on. There's a lot of times you have a GM, you go, why does this guy still have a job? Well, because on Sundays or whatever it is, they got an audience with the owner, and they're able to convince the owner why, hey, we've got good personnel. The coach just isn't using it right.
Wow.
And a lot of times the owner, they got other businesses that they're dealing with also.
Well,
so they're kind of, leaning on your GM to get what they think is the truth going on in that organization.
yeah, I mean, Isaac's going to have a lot of explaining to do over the last 5 games sitting next to Woody Johnson. I want the unvarnished good stuff on Manziel, Jay. What's going on there in Cleveland? What happened?
No, look, here's the thing with Johnny Manziel is, they told him early on, they're like, we've got to be able to trust you as our quarterback on and off the field. And normally, yes, you have a target on your back, but I mean, this was he's where he lives, and you got some jagoff coming up to him trying to be a big Johnny Manziel groupie and 2:00 in the morning, hammered or whatever. This case right here, I got to be honest with you, Rich. It's easy to jump on Johnny because he's kind of lost the right for us to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, I think I probably would have done the same thing. Some dude kind of bum rushes me. I don't know. Look, they want to make sure that everything he said was accurate. They'd love to see the security tape. I don't know if they're going to be allowed to because the places, attorneys will get involved. They really wanted to see it, make sure everything he said. But he told them what's going on. Of course, they have to come out now and say, well, we need Johnny to grow up. We need Johnny to be, whatever. And the time of the incident. But let's not mistake ourselves here, okay?
Jay?
Players go out on Friday nights, all hours of the night. Happens all the time. Okay, not just Johnny Manziel.
Yeah.
Players everywhere go out, whatever. And I understand they're saying, well, it's the time. I'm not. I guess in this one case, I normally wouldn't defend him, but I am in this case. And until I see and hear that he instigated it or he was out doing something, but it's where he's staying. It's at your place. That's different.
I knew you'd have the unvarnished take, Jay. Thanks for calling in. I appreciate it. Have a great Thanksgiving. Have a great holiday,
That's
buddy.
unvarnished?
That's unvarnished. Oh, yes, it is. Appreciate it. Have a great holiday, Jay.
Thank you, buddy. You too, pal.
You got it. That's Jay Glazer of Fox Sports.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.